Hey everyone, welcome back to the Why We Bust podcast here, sponsored by your Windy City Ghostbusters. So first to start the show off today, we have a quick PSA from the Ghostbusters Virginia. We have Bridget and Jeff with us who have started a movement here. I'm going to call it that because it's picking up steam. I'm seeing a couple other teams picking up on this. So if you guys want to tell us a little bit about Proton Pets and what you guys are kind of heading up here.
Sure. Proton Pets is an initiative. We while back, Ghostbusters Virginia was trying to find ways to help the pet community, pet owner community and things. And we saw the great leadership and work that the Toy Drive did and decided to be inspired by that. And we are dedicating the month of April as Proton Pets to go around and raise funds and pet food donations for local pet shelters and pet pantries.
That is fantastic. There's always a need in the pet community for help, whether it be beds, food, whatever. So I definitely commend you guys for starting that. And then we're going to put in the chat here. Windy City Ghostbusters is going to be joining that force here to help promote what you guys are doing, because I think it's great. Bridget, you got anything you want to add there to that?
Oh yeah. So I had made the artwork for the patches and stickers, which was really cool, and I'm really happy that Jeff asked me to do that. I kind of was inspired behind that. There's a couple of members in the Ghostbusters Virginia group that actually have little suits for their pets, and it's so cute. So I saw that and I was like, oh, that'd be really cool to kind of make something like a logo specifically for Proton Pets with a dog and a cat with their own little suits. And if you look closely on their shoulders, instead of a no ghost logo, it's a no squirrel and no mouse logo. So I was really excited about that part. So yeah.
I did not look close enough. All right. I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing after the show.
Yep. Yeah.
That is really fantastic. And then where can everybody watching find more info on this?
You can check out our Facebook page or our Instagram, Ghostbusters Virginia, and there's some links out there for if you'd like to get the patch or stickers, but also just we're going to be sharing more general info about how to find ways to help the community in general.
Fantastic. Well, I want to thank you guys for coming on and giving a little plug for that, because I know I've got a couple more than one furry friend here. And again, they're all adopted, and they are, they're the love of our lives. So, go check them out on Facebook, and we commend your guys' efforts. Thank you for chipping in and helping the community. So, we will see you guys later, and we wish you the best of luck.
Thank you
for having us. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye. No problem. All right. So, Keith,
all right.
Let's get into it. Welcome back, everyone, to Why We Bust, the podcast where we take a deep dive into Ghostbusters fandom, one Proton Pack journey at a time. I'm your host, Matt Goldenboat, and today we have a guest from across the pond whose passion for the paranormal has led him on a remarkable journey. Keith Lawler is a dedicated Ghostbusters enthusiast who has shared his experiences and insights into the franchise through his writings, his blog, Back to the Ghostbusters, and best decade for films ever. Still great, right? The 80s, Ghost Stoppers, offer a personal look at his connection to the Ghostbusters universe and the impact it has had on his life. We'll be discussing his early memories of the franchise, his decision to become a Ghostbuster, the process of building his own Proton Pack, and his leadership in the Tiny T's Ghostbusters, including their work with the Red Bench Project. So, grab your PK meters and settle in. It's time to find out why we bust. So, Keith, we thank you for staying up. We were discussing earlier. It is midnight over there.
It is.
You said you're a bit of a night owl, so
I am. Yeah. So I'm getting to that age where I can have a snooze just after tea and then get ready for some late nights. Yeah.
I love it. So. All right, so we do as we do every week here. We're going to jump into that Ghostbuster themed DeLorean, and we're going to take a trip back. Now, I remember you had said that you were about 16 when, and don't do the math. You were about 16 when you saw Ghostbusters in '84,
Yeah.
what was, because a lot of us aren't old enough to remember. I personally, I was 3 years old, but I remember going to the drive-in to go see it and sitting in the back of the station wagon. What was your experience seeing the movie for the first time?
Well, I mean, I was 16. We had it. This was the thing in the UK. We didn't get Ghostbusters until December. I know you guys had it somewhere in the summer. So probably for you, it was a summer movie. For us, it was a Christmas movie. It actually was released over here on the same day that Gremlins was released. So we had Gremlins and Ghostbusters at the same time. I think there was another film out at that Christmas as well. So it was quite a blockbuster kind of thing that was going on in the UK at the time. Yeah. So yeah, it was fantastic. Absolutely loved it.
That is fantastic, and a fun movie fact. If you didn't know it, the Times Square from Back to the Future and the Times Square from Gremlins are on the same set. So yeah, little Ghostbusters sorry, trivia for you there. Now, in your blog, you had mentioned that the film's music and merchandise captivated you. What was it about the Ghostbusters universe that resonated with you most with that during your youth?
I think I love the actual music. This was really the first kind of time that I actually encountered Ghostbusters. Was that in the UK, it was the music that came first. And surprisingly, I did do a little bit of research about this, and it's a bit weird when it came to when Ghostbusters Ray Parker Jr. single was released in the UK, and it hit number 56 on the first week of release. And that was sometime, I'm trying to think, it was sometime in August or something like that. It was out for a long time. I think in the UK it stayed in the charts, going up and down. It was obviously higher in December. I think it reached number 2 or number 3. And it stayed in the charts for 42 weeks. I think in the US it only lasted a few weeks, which was bizarre. But because of the US release and the UK release, there was a good few months. I was very much into listening to the single, also the B-side. I'm trying to remember. I can't remember what the B-side was on the single, but getting the single and then buying the album. And I was like, over in the UK, something called sixth form, which is you're just finishing your kind of, I'm trying to think how it represents it in the US, but I say 16, we should have been going to college, but I say in the UK it's slightly different. We've got like school, college, university. So I was retaking some exams at the time, and we had what's called a common room where all the students kind of hung out, and I'd sneak the Ghostbusters album on every now and then when it was quiet, because there was some obviously 80s kind of music going on, but it was like I just wanted to sneak the album in, so let everybody else listen to it as well. So it was good fun. Yeah.
Nice. So now, having heard the music first, were you aware of kind of what you were walking into when you first went to see the movie, or was it just completely you went in not really? Because because I know now we talk about leaks and stuff and things getting out and stuff. Was that really prevalent when you walked into the theater? Like, did you already have a grasp on what was going on with the movie?
Kind of, because I say when the single was released, I mean, my first encounter was there was a UK program called I think it was Entertainment USA, and they always used to feature the top 10 of movies and any kind of thing that was happening at the time. So we did kind of know about what was happening about Ghostbusters in the States, a few months before it was released in the UK. I mean, it's not like today where, within 1 or 2 weeks, the movie's been released, everywhere at the same time, because obviously they had to do prints in those days and they had to spread the prints around, and they could only produce so many prints. So we didn't get it. But I do remember, I say one of my first, and I've actually having done this, I've actually been updating the blog because there was some other memories that popped up. And I say one of the distinct memories was not only listening to music, but watching the music video sometime early on in the year. So I was aware, and there's a very strong image of them going down, doing the dance down in New York, down the street, doing the whole, I can't do the dance obviously at this kind of, but you know that scene, and that was kind of an iconic kind of image at the time for me that I remember. So it's like, oh, I've seen that. I can remember that. So it lasted through the summer until we got it in cinemas in December. So it was a long time to wait between seeing that first image and actually getting a chance to watch the film.
It definitely sounds like it, but it was worth the wait. I'm assuming.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because you're here today, so I mean, definitely. So, but you've written about the cultural impact of Ghostbusters in the '80s. How do you think the film influenced that era, and why do you believe it became such a defining piece of pop culture?
I don't know. Before I was writing the blog, I always thought like that the '80s. I hated the '80s. That was a weird thing. It was like it was like I was going through college and school and all the problems in the '80s. I didn't really like it. Then when I thought back, it's like there's some really cool movies in the '80s. There are icons in the '80s. I mean, you can think of any kind of '80s films. From your Predators. Yeah, I mean, Predators, your Gremlins, your Ghostbusters, your Back to the Future, all of those kind of things that, for me, I was growing up in that period. I lived through that. I lived through the '80s. When I was at that kind of era. But the one thing that did occur to me, and I haven't written this down, but because I was like, I mean, in the '70s, the significant, another iconic film that came out in the '70s was Star Wars. And I kind of lived through, I was at that right age. I was 9 years old. You can still do the maths. I'm not bothered. I was 9 years old. So that Star Wars was just the right age. So I lived through the seeing it for the first time in cinema. Another Christmas movie for us. It was Christmas over in January. And obviously at those times, I miss it when a film lasts for months in the cinema. Now it's like it's in the cinema, or we haven't got a chance to watch it, and then suddenly it's out on streaming and so on. But the whole experience of being able to go back to see a film because it's at the cinema, several times during its kind of release date is great. But I'm saying I lived through the whole Star Wars era, and it was really once Return of the Jedi came along, I needed to find something else. So obviously, Jedi was 83, so Ghostbusters was 84. So I needed more sci-fi. I needed something else to keep me busy because it was like that was it. Star Wars. I was 16. Time to get rid of the Star Wars toys, and that's it. Let's go.
Right on. So I'm assuming that Ghostbusters then kind of scratched that sci-fi itch that you had. For a little something more. It was like Star Wars. I always think that the first Ghostbusters was very kind of gritty and used. It was George Lucas's old used universe where everything was a bit dirty, a bit grimy. And I think with all the props and everything being made kind of from scratch or being made from odd bits and pieces, that it kind of added that gritty kind of, caretakers kind of mopping up the streets kind of thing. Kind of look, and it was a different kind of look. I did see some of the others, but other like films from the '80s, like the Caddyshack, and I can't remember where I saw Stripes or anything like that, but I do specifically remember Caddyshack. We didn't have in the UK Saturday Night Live like you did in the in the US. So we weren't familiar too much with like Dan Aykroyd and Bill Murray and everybody involved with it. So it was an interesting kind of, because we had a lot of we had a lot of iconic American movies. Now I ask you a question. Do you remember any UK 80s films that are significant? But for me, all the US
films from the 80s were a lot of them were very much iconic or created something that's iconic to this day, really.
So fun fact about me. I didn't UK films not so much, but I did actually watch a lot of Faulty Towers and Are You Being Served?
Yeah.
They were both on PBS here, and my mom was a huge fan of Are You Being Served? So I've seen every episode of that from here to the end. But yeah, definitely UK movies, not so much. Ghostbusters is known for its unique blend of comedy and horror and action. What aspect of the franchise do you think makes it so timeless?
I'm very much into the spooky. I love the way it kind of hits all the kind of levels for a range of like adults to kids, but not being too scary, but being a bit scary, but funny at the same time. So it's kind of hit that kind of like not horror based spooky. I mean, I was thinking like Ghostbusters being at the same kind of level as like Haunted Mansion when it comes to the spooky level, or the I think maybe Scooby-Doo even. You've got the Scooby-Doo kind of spooky and the monsters. It contained monsters. It contained cool gadgets. It contained a bit of comedy. It contained a bit of stuff for the adults that the kids didn't necessarily get at the time.
Very true.
But it's it's just it has a lot for everybody. I think it does. I think I'm trying to remember what the question. I think sometimes I get carried away with the answers, but yeah.
Oh no, I love. Hey, descriptive answers are what I'm looking for. Now I think you actually just touched on a crossover that I don't believe we've seen, which is Ghostbusters and Scooby-Doo.
I don't know. Have they done the comics? They're not doing the comics for that. I know they've done Ghostbusters and Transformers and things like that, but
the Ghostbusters and Transformers stuff is excellent. If anyone has not checked that out, Ectotron, which is the Ecto one in Transformers form, is pretty amazing. I'm just gonna say. Now, was there ever a time when your Ghostbusters fandom took a back seat, or has it always been a major part of your life?
I think obviously when Ghostbusters 2 finished, I mean, I was at the certain age where, being 16, the films, I was very much into films at the time. So 16 to 18 and so on, started watching films like RoboCop because I was old enough to go and see those kind of films at the time. And your Predators, which, having seen those at the screen, and the seen Predator 2 and all that kind of the mixture of the horrors and still going back to the good old. But there was obviously the gap. I mean, I went. I'll say I'm very much a sci-fi kind of fantasy. I love time travel. I love ghosts and things. I do like a horror as well, but it kind of stuck. I mean, the thing is about with Ghostbusters is being able to once you get into the 80s, this is a great thing. I think you've touched on this before, but being able to, rent and buy the video and being able to relive that, it's not quite the same as being in the cinema, but, just being able to put it in your VHS player and then watching it, renting it for a couple of days. I mean, that tend to be, so I watched a lot of films in the UK, just renting them. The old Police Academy and all that kind of comedies, and even going back, I say that's probably where I saw Caddyshack and Stripes on VHS. So going back, finding the actors in Ghostbusters, and then find out them, and not realizing that Harold Ramis was also in Stripes at the time, and then obviously forward from that you had your Groundhog Days, and so it's always seemed to be coming back, and it's like touching on. Not necessarily. I mean, you love the actors in Ghostbusters, and then you watch them in others, and you love them in those as well. So yeah, I think it's just continuous.
Exploring all the actors' bodies of work outside of Ghostbusters is always fun. Now, if you had to introduce someone to Ghostbusters for the first time, what's the one scene or moment that best captures its magic that you would direct them to watch?
I'd say definitely from the elevator scene, or lift, as we would say, let's say in the UK, the elevator scene to capturing Slimer for the first time. I think the hotel, Sedgwick Hotel scene is just, that's the thing. In fact, I think that's probably one of the scenes that and I don't know whether it's the same in the US, but when you have that kind of press junkets, and in the UK we tended to have lots of either film would have been Film 84, which is like a review with a critic over here, but we also had kids programs that would feature clips from popular films at the time. So you'd have possibly Blue Peter, and there was a program, I'm trying to think if it was Screen Test, but there was lots of kind of programs that would feature clips, and you'd see repeated clips. It was the same for like Star Wars, where I remember seeing the same battle where Millennium Falcon was fighting TIE fighters. You get the Sedgwick Hotel scene played over and over again, the "he slimed me" line, and that whole section. And I've probably seen that section so much more than just seeing it in the actual film, or on DVD or Blu-ray, or buying all these different iterations of Ghostbusters itself. So yeah, it just keeps going.
I know, right? No, I think you hit the nail on the head there. I would agree with you. If you're going to introduce somebody, that is where I would direct them to. So let's get a little bit into your journey to becoming a Ghostbuster. Now, in your blogs, you shared watching the documentary Ghost Heads. It kind of rekindled your passion for Ghostbusters. Can you elaborate a little bit on how that inspired you to become more actively involved in the fandom? I've loved Ghostbusters. I've been into I say cosplay, and it's saying in my day, I always say that when I was young, when I was your age, we used to call it fancy dress. I don't know whether that's the same. I think the cosplay element has always kind of come from the Far East. But we always used to have fancy dress competitions at various conventions. I've been doing conventions like sci-fi conventions and things. It started off with Star Trek since about 1989. So I don't know how old you were in 1989, but I remember turning up as a zombie at a sci-fi convention in Leicester in the UK, and going to Manchester and London and Blackpool. I don't know if any of these places mean anything to you, but yeah, going to those events and meeting up with people and getting dressed up. And I think the cosplay, the fancy dress kind of got me at certain points. Over the time, I started building costumes, building props and models and things like that. And then I started getting into wearing a stormtrooper outfit with a group. I bought some Stormtrooper, and again, it always comes back to the grittiness of Ghostbusters and the grittiness of Star Wars, where my Stormtroopers were never the kind of the pristine. Mine looked like I'd been in a battle or been dragged, as we say, dragged through a hedge backwards, and being very dirty and a very kind of muddy. And that kind of thing. So I used to wear Stormtrooper outfits at various conventions and events. Eventually, you get to a certain age where you fear of falling over in one of these things, because it's hard to, if you've ever worn a Stormtrooper costume, it's hard to walk up and down stairs. So I did get to a certain point where I wanted to wear something soft. And guess what? I get it. Yep. You know what? So, I've spent multiple hours in a flight suit, and it's not the worst thing in the world. I will admit.
No.
James, have you ever donned the full Stormtrooper outfit? Oh, I can't hear you, James. Yes. Is that
sure? Yes, I have multiple times.
Have you had the same experience going up and downstairs?
Oh, stairs suck. Stairs suck. The line in the movie about you can't see a damn thing in the helmet is absolutely true.
Yeah. And you end up with like marks on your arms and behind
Armor
your legs
bites.
That's it. So I needed, as I was getting older, I needed something different, so it was kind of, I tried a few other things, but obviously 2020 came along and it all kind of changed. The entire world changed.
I was
yeah.
just about to ask you that. So during the pandemic, many people sought a lot of comfort in nostalgia. How did revisiting Ghostbusters during that time provide some comfort or solace and a sense of community for you?
It was a mental break. It was a kind of, we all kind of stuck at home. As I say, I'll always love making models. You couldn't really go out. It was a time when, Afterlife was going to be released that year. So there was a lot of content and a lot of stuff about all the toys that were coming up and the Proton the wand and everything like that. So it was very much into kind of, we're getting a new Ghostbusters film. It's going to go revisit the old Ghostbusters and the Spengler and watching the teaser and everything like that. But it was delayed a bit. Obviously, I think everybody was going through troubles in 2020. So being able to actually buy parts and being able to spend some time when you're not, at the time I was a teacher. So trying to teach online with students. I love the students, absolutely fantastic, but it was hard for them to even I was teaching media and things and video editing and all that. It's hard to do that online unless you've got students in a classroom. But just being able to get away from that, when you're kind of trapped at home, you need something. And I did the deed and bought the Proton Pack kit from Ben Kent, and then spent weeks and weeks building it, painting it, doing everything. I absolutely loved it, and it gave us that mental break away from the day-to-day feeling trapped and not being able to go anywhere, do anything. So that was it for me. It kind of it did save me, which is kind of why we support the charity that we're doing at the moment. So it kept me sane. Should we say?
It sounds like it. We're gonna get a little bit into the Proton Pack building here in a minute. Now, what was the first actual step you toch? Was it purchasing the Neutrona wand? Was it?
It was, yeah. Okay. I've got it here. I've got so much stuff. As you can see, I've modified it slightly. But I'm getting caught up here. Excuse me. Sorry.
Technical difficulties. We're good.
Get me headphones trapped in a Proton one, right? Anyway, yeah. So when it was actually, I think it was my birthday at the time. It was like, what can I get for my birthday? And it's I'll just untangle myself. And it was like, I saw it on the preview. I still remember that preview where they showed off the first Hasbro wand, and it was like, I've got to get that. So wife bought it for my birthday, and I got it, and it's like, I can't just stop there. So this was pre, as I say, just pre kind of pandemic kind of thing, and it's like I can't just stop there. I've got to get the rest of it. I'm going to get the pipe and then join the pipe to this. It's very similar to some of my other builds. You start with one thing and then you connect the dots to everything else. So you end up with like, for me, I've got a full-size Dalek. That was another little project. But yeah, it was getting the one to start with, and then just connecting it to everything else, getting the sound and everything working, and it's just it was great. Yeah.
Nice. I always say you got to start somewhere, and what better place to start than the wand? Because I'm not gonna lie, when I first got mine, I kind of ran around the house a little bit, firing it up and having fun. And my son was grabbing it from me, and he called it my good wand. Because he had his little Hasbro play stuff, but that was the good wand that he wanted to play with. What was the first public event or moment where you really felt like this is it? I'm a Ghostbuster. Like where it finally set in.
Yeah, I think it was, and I think I did send you the photo of it. It was like, I think we were just coming out of the time. I'm not using the P word, but just coming out of that period of time where we. I think it was a Halloween over in the UK, and we were all kind of allowed to go out. And I went into my local town in full-on Ghostbusters costume on Halloween, and I was just like, I've got it. I'm wearing the backpack and everything. As I say, prior to that, I did a build diary and everything like that just before we got the electronics and help with the electronics kind of thing. And it was so good. I say the only problem is, I say the photo I took, I realized I'd forgotten to put the elbow pads on. So I'm always looking at that one first photo of me doing it and going, I forgot the elbow pads. But yeah, and it was about the same time we started working with another local cinema in Sunderland where I live, and actually going into and kind of just doing some costuming for them. It was the Empire Cinema in Sunderland at the time, and according to, this was the fun thing, and I did record a video, I can't remember what I put it on, but they did say that screen 4 at the Empire was haunted. They talked about a little girl who would appear standing in front of the screen. So I did a bit of jokey thing. I've never seen, this is the thing about ghosts for me. It's like, if ghosts exist, I want them to appear in front of me. Sure, and sure. I want proof. Give me proof. And then I'll get the trap out and trap them, and that's it. Which I think, if you think about it, it's cruel. If you got a nice ghost, it's like you're trapping them with, it's like this big kind of tube where you're putting all these I mean, you can't imagine what's going on inside the firehouse, but yeah, that's it's always good to think. Yeah.
Hey, you know what? Part of being involved in what we do is being able to be creative and have that imagination. Like, there's nights where I've laid awake going, I wonder what it's like in that containment unit, or like, I wonder what it'd be like to drive Ecto 1 down the streets in New York. Yeah. I know it's tight, but like, those are the things that I think that we in this fandom can let our imagination run wild with, and it's amazing when it does, because it's kind of what makes us whole. It's that little bit of our childhood or our passion for something that we can carry with us around. So let's go into a little bit of that pack build. On your blog, you detailed the process of acquiring and assembling your own pack. What was that experience like, and what challenges did you face during the build?
Yeah, I mean, I say I loved it. I mean, if you do it once, you've got to do it twice. And I say I built a second pack only recently, just because I love building. They're expensive, I mean, to buy.
They are.
But yeah, but just the thrill of being able to build it and being able to customize it. I mean, my first pack was very much a mixture of, it was like my pack. I'm not trying to do Venkman, I'm not trying to do Stance or anyone like that. It's kind of a mixture of the Afterlife wand with some modifications to it, with it making it look like it's been sitting in a cupboard for 25, 35 years. Again, used universe, making it look down. I love the way the packs, I say in here, because I've got a dusty house, but just being able to leave a pack and not clean it. I think that's the great thing about the Proton packs, is that they look much better if you just leave them to gather dust in a corner somewhere.
The all natural look.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, so I say just being able to apply the stickers and making the stickers look like they're kind of been scrapped and tear some of the stickers. That's my favorite bit of prop building, is like whenever I create something, I'll create it pristine, have all the colors, and then start scratching at it and start painting it, adding rust paint and all the kind of other bits and pieces to make it look like it's older than it is. That's the fun bit. I mean, it's like, what are you doing? It's like, it is a scary process. If you've ever seen Adam Savage's kind of YouTube clips and things like that, he loves that process as well, and I just adore that kind of making it and scratching it, getting some abrasive kind of things and scratching at the aluminium tubing and trying to give it some silver kind of edging, so as if you think about where the bits of the pack have rubbed against other bits, all that kind of the process. I absolutely love that. But the bit I'll say the building problem, I mean, any kind of problems was like some of the screws, trying to get having to modify screws or coming up with new solutions. Because I mean, the kit I bought from say Ben & Kent, I don't know whether you've got any Ben & Kent kits, but they are heavy. But they do come with all the screws and everything where you could it was like building a car. I mean, I'm not very good at doing anything with cars, but just building a car, and you'd be able to, make sure they all it all put together, and absolutely loved it. So yeah.
So I will say, so I'm trying to spatially aware here of which side I'm on.
Yeah.
This is actually a Ben & Kent bumper that is on my 80% pack here. I will say definitely great quality. The shipping time over here. It does take a while to get the stuff, but I will say definitely a good quality. Now, with you being where you are,
it's the advantage.
Exactly. You could probably in a couple days. How did you go about sourcing all the components? And what advice would you give to others where you are that want to go about building their own equipment or pack?
Well, I started with the Ben & Kent and then did the modifications. I mean, if anybody's ever done kind of modifications, sometimes you can get the resin parts, which can break easily sometimes, and then you can replace them with metal parts. And I've used everywhere from Etsy. The patch took me a while on the jumpsuit. Took me a while to kind of get a good size one. Don't know if anyone's ever tried to. I mean, I was going through obviously GB fans and everything, looking at. So I was multiple sources of trying to get anything from the smallest details. I think on the first pack, I didn't have some of the details that I do have on the original one, because I say it was harder to get the parts at the time. But Etsy, I say info. I mean, there was a lot of reading on GB fans, a lot of reading on various other forums and things. This is why I put the videos together of my pack build, because I knew, what my experience would help somebody else to build their own packs, whether it's Ben & Kent's or whether it's any of the other packs. I mean, this was the thing as well. When I built my pack, the Hasbro pack was not to be seen. It was just the wand. I don't know how many years it was between just getting the wand and the actual Hasbro pack. So I wasn't exactly disappointed when the Hasbro pack was going, hey, we got this, and it's cheaper than the one I bought, but this is my pack. I made this,
that's the fun thing about it. I've got my 280% packs, and I'm in the middle of building a full size. But being able to put your own touches on it, the HasLab is great, but building something that you've had your hands in, you glued it, you painted it, you weathered it. Weathering is one of my favorite things to do. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
The current pack I'm building, I wanted to have. I'm actually going for a new gently used, which is new for me because I really like to do a good amount of weathering on stuff. But I definitely commend you for taking the deep dive and going down that rabbit hole of building your own, because I know it's a lot to take on sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, if I wouldn't have been able to start it from scratch. I know I've got friends of mine that have built packs and 3D printed them, used parts from various different. There's a pan for the main chamber with the lights on. I can't remember half the parts these days. I was doing that when I'm making my own videos. I was pointing at things and said, I'll add that name and that part. There's so many different parts of a Proton pack now.
Right.
But the first pack I'd built was kind of used. The second pack I made it look, because I had a Ghostbusters 1 ribbon cable, so I made it look more like Venkman. So like yours, it's not as roughed up, so the stickers look like they're actually, maybe not brand new, but they look like they've just had a bit of peeling on the edges, but apart from that, they're spectacular. So, but yeah, I don't want to make it. No, I can't make another one.
you
I'm gonna make another one.
you've hit the end of your proton tech building journey.
Yeah. I haven't got the space. I don't know how that
goes. So the Ghostbusters gear is iconic. Is there a particular piece of equipment besides the proton pack that you'd love to build or own?
So a mate of mine called Tim, he built the trap using, again, going back to Adam Savage, watching this. There was I can't remember the guy off the top of my head, but he produced the plans and the STL files for building the 3D printed trap. So we had a go at downloading that. We made Tim printed it on his printer. He made 2 of them. I'll say the trap is if you haven't got the proton pack, you've got the trap. That's the second. I think it's the second thing. The third is the one, not the one. See, I'm forgetting things again. You see, I'm 57 years old. My brain doesn't work.
You gave it away. No.
You can do the maths. Everybody could do the maths. Yeah.
So
So definitely the second part. I say when I again. We make Tim. He printed 2 of these traps, and for building it, I kind of painted all his trap up, and kind of we did this kind of a good exchange once everything was settled. But so I painted all his trap up and put it all together and everything like that. So he went a bit further and actually printed the foot pedal as well. Mine was just the trap on its own. But I didn't want to carry too much equipment around. That's the thing. You do feel like when you got like the Ben Kent kind of weight to a pack, you feel like you are walking around.
You should be hitting the gym all the time. With all that weight. I totally get it. So we're gonna move on a little bit in here to just some of your thoughts on where things are headed. The franchise continues to evolve with the new films and different media that's going to start coming out. What are your thoughts on the direction it's heading, especially after the release of Afterlife and Frozen Empire?
Well, I love the idea of the new Netflix animated movie, however that's going to look. Yes. I have read some of the comics. I got the last series. I know there's another Afterlife, kind of bridging the gap between Afterlife and Frozen Empire. That was a good one. But I feel I love Frozen Empire. Afterlife, I loved it even better when you had the forum at the end. It was just tearjerker, absolutely. But Frozen Empire was a middle film. I think if we have one more film, because obviously the actors in the first film, they were teenagers, and now they're going to be in the mid-20s or something like that. They need to it feels like you need another passing the baton. So if we've got another live action film just to finish that new trilogy, if that makes any sense, we've got to see. We've got to see where the Netflix takes us. But I like the idea. Dan Aykroyd's mentioned this before. Is maybe having a Ghostbusters film set in the UK. There's plenty of ghost activity in the UK. You got your spooky castles. Again, we're going back to Scooby-Doo, but right? You could easily, because I think Ghostbusters is very New York central, which is it's like the city. Ecto, this is the thing about the difference between the UK and the US. You would never have Ecto-1 driving around in the UK. They wouldn't be able to get anywhere because the roads, getting around roundabouts. It is, we have smaller cars in the UK. So we don't have. I've seen an Ecto-1 live a good few years back, and it is big. I thought it was big, but when you see it in real life and you go, that is a big car. It's probably twice the length of my own car. So I can't imagine racing that around like London. You wouldn't be able to race it.
So if going on that theme now, because if you were to convert a vehicle that you have over there into an Ecto-1, what would you use?
Oh, It would be something like a Ford. So
Okay.
I know I think is a Ford F-150 or something like that. I mean, we do have some of those. They do in the UK. They do look out of place, but they are big vehicles to be able to carry things around. I mean, just cover the back, put some lights on the top. I'd like to see a Ecto F-150 driving around. I mean, it would stand out. You get around better than some of the smaller cars, but you wouldn't be able to. Having a smaller car, I can only just fit 2 Proton packs in. I have been thinking of making a rack for the back of the car, but nobody else would be able to sit in it. It's just like two people in the front and then the Proton packs in the back. That's it. The rest of the team would have to get another car and then meet us at wherever you've got to go to. So yeah. It's hard to have a big vehicle and still be able to carry all the equipment that you need for your Ghostbusting needs. Yes,
I could definitely see that. So scaling down some of the equipment may be a necessity for a vehicle in the UK.
Yeah, but then you take this is the thing. I think the between Afterlife and Frozen Empire, they've done some cool mods. But how far can you take the Proton pack before it becomes less of the iconic? I mean, I love the yellow bumpers and things like that. But I say, even though I wasn't watching it because, Extreme Ghostbusters, where they took, I felt like they took the, I just say it's one trucking makes you feel good. Yes. Where was that? Yeah. Extreme Ghostbusters, where they created brand new versions of all the kind of kit. And the first real Ghostbusters was very much, this is really me watching it post teenage years, because I didn't watch the cartoons at all during that time. It was harder to watch in the UK, obviously, because we only had so many channels until we had satellite and so on. But so those I wasn't in the generation of He-Man and Transformers and all of that. I was very much into just catching this all later and being aware of, there's Extreme Ghostbusters, there's real Ghostbusters. You've got simpler adaptations, obviously, for the animation. And with Extreme Ghostbusters, they kind of created new things. So, I like new things, but you've got to create a new thing without taking away from the iconic thing. But it's getting that careful balance, because you don't want to go stray too far. If you stray too far, it loses that kind of, the classic kind of feel. Sure. I think if you painted a Proton pack, completely orange or something like that. I've seen some great pink Proton packs and some game related Proton packs, but it's like, how far can you take it? I like the modification of the iron arm, but I think everybody, if you were making your first Proton pack, you'd probably go for the first film before you went for any of the others. So
right, I think that's most people's go-to would be the first, and then but I think taking your own liberties, as long as it's still looks the part and you didn't go too far, by all means, man. That's what's nice about part of this fandom too, is being able to do some of our own takes on stuff, but like you said, not going too far so that it strays, but as long as it's right down that that corridor of staying with the Ghostbuster stuff, I know I fully support it. So if you could own one piece from one of the movies, right? So a prop or a screen used item, what would you want?
Does that include the car?
Anything.
80s, I think, again, the 80s created iconic vehicles. You've got your kits, you've got your DeLoreans, you've got the Ecto one. I love the car. I don't know whether I'd be able to drive it, but if I won the lottery, I would have to buy a big garage and have a DeLorean next to the Ecto one.
Fair choice, my friend. Fair choice. I'm right there with you.
Whether I'd take it out anywhere, but I've seen. There's iconic videos on Facebook and YouTube where you've got an articulated lorry filled with iconic cars, and you just think, the Batmobile, the Ecto-1, the DeLorean, Kit, and you can just keep going on, you know. But yeah, I like my cars. I like my hardware, so it would have to be an Ecto-1.
Man after my own heart. I'm a movie car guy. Above me is all license plates from all different movie cars. So I definitely I have a lot of respect for that. I definitely do. Now let's do this. So if you could build your own team of Ghostbusters, right? So 4 members, you're one of them. Who would your other 3 members be? And it could be anybody from any of the movies, cartoons, and comic books too, since you've read the comic books. Who would you assemble for your other 3 members?
I'd like the Paul Rudd Gruberson in one of them, just for the actual. I'd like Bill Murray and Gruberson to play off each other. Who would be? I mean, if we're talking about like 4, because obviously you've got 2. I wouldn't be the technical person. We need some kind of technical person in there. But I mean, obviously one would be Egon. But that's a hard one. Yeah, I'd just go for Egon. It'd be nice mix between me, Egon. You'd have the Bill Murray and the Paul Rudd.
Bill Murray.
Yeah.
I think you got a solid team right there.
I don't know how long it would last.
You know what? Hey, as long as somebody's throwing a stream out somewhere, as long as you're having a good time doing it, that's what matters.
I think Bill Murray wouldn't be turning up most of the time, to be honest.
Probably. You are probably
or he'd be late.
Right. Yeah, I mean it is what he's the Hurricane. He does what he wants.
I like that Hurricane, yeah.
The Hurricane. So I want to get into to kind of wrap us up here. I want to get into some of the charitable work that you're into, sir. So you lead the Tiny T's Ghostbusters, and it does a lot of great stuff for working with the community. Tell us a little bit about how the group started and what your mission is.
Well, yeah, I say obviously. I mean, prior to me being a Ghostbusters, a couple of the other members were in another team. It was Ghostbusters Northeast. That's since unfortunately is kind of broke up quite recently. We were hoping that 2 teams would be running simultaneously, but they didn't quite. They overlapped a little, but we ended up with a few members, and we started. I think, to be honest, going back, it's friends from doing Stormtrooper days. We've got the same kind of group of friends that are very much into costuming. We, as well as we're doing the Ghostbusters, we help out the cinema with some horror characters as well. So we do a kind of, if we wanted to catch ourselves, we kind of could.
Nice.
We kind of love just dressing up and jumping out in corners and things like that, and scaring people as well as capturing them. So we've done Star Wars in the past. We've done Ghostbusters, and it became like the Tiny T's Ghostbusters became a kind of it's kind of a common kind of thing, because it was connected with a charity, the Red Bench Project, which is it's all about putting red benches in kind of suicide hotspots, and it kind of went back to like the days when we're all kind of struggling and thinking, other people are struggling as well. Why not, create these and help people out? So the idea of these benches to go in locations. At the moment, it's in the northeast of England. I'm hoping that they would go nationally and maybe internationally. If you can see an iconic red bench, it's like an iconic Ecto-1 parked outside, you can go, yes, I know what that's for. The idea of a red bench is that if you see somebody sitting down on a red bench alone, go up and talk to them, because they might be going through some struggles. So talk to them, or if you're feeling, feeling a bit down, sit on those red bench, and hopefully somebody will come over and speak to you and see how you are, and hopefully change how things are. So but it's very, because of the connection with I think everybody's struggling in 2020. I mean, for me personally, it was very much kind of it was a connection. It was a connection between the charity going through mental health issues. If it's like, if you've got mental health issues, then, you know, if you're struggling, you want to talk to somebody, because it was at the time, you know, in the 20s, It was hard to speak to other people unless you're on a Zoom call or something like that. But yeah, the Red Bench Project, it kind of it connected the dots between the Ghostbusters, and we're all kind of very much into kind of doing that same kind of thing. So the Tyne's Ghostbusters has only been there for like really a year. I mean, we only really started properly as a bigger group since Frozen Empire came out, and we did some smaller events with one or two of us, but we kind of came about and created this kind of group. So we've been continuing on with that. One of our members, one of the guys, Wayne Groves, has been featured in a documentary that's going to be shown at cinema tomorrow, and we're going to be kitting up with the Ghostbusters kit to support him and the charity that he's kind of created. So if you're ever interested, I know it's in the States, but if you're listening to it in the UK, go to the Red Bench project. Each of the red benches have a plaque explaining what they're all about. And in other cases, there are other plaques where people might have sponsored the bench themselves. I mean, they cost so much. There's councils involved in agreeing where these benches could go to, because obviously, you know, you want to choose wisely. And but it's absolutely a fantastic cause, and I think it should be. It's as I say, we're talking about iconic things. We want a red bench to be an iconic kind of item that you can see wherever. And if somebody's sitting down on a red bench, you know, go and talk to them. I think it's fantastic, absolutely amazing. So yeah, that was the connection kind of thing. So yeah,
I think that is an amazing initiative, because, you know, mental health and mental well-being is I know something that's an important part to my life, an important part to a lot of people's lives, and having something that's tangible, right? It's something that if somebody knows that that's what that is for, being able to have somebody just recognize what's going on, and, you know, the human connection, like you put it, is very important for people. So I definitely, I wish you guys the best of luck on keeping going with that and pushing it to the next level. I'd even love to see something like that here in the States, because that is something that is quite amazing. So I commend you guys for pushing forward with that. That is really cool.
I think it's a local thing, because I think if you are in a particular region, you know locally where things happen. So it is kind of local and a national thing. Somebody living in one state might not know where there are particular hotspots in another state. So, but it's community and worldwide. Hopefully, you never know. You
just never know. All right. So where can everybody find the information on all of this?
If you go on Facebook and do a search for the Red Bench Project, you'll get. In fact, I'll just show you. That's the iconic logo there. So if you have a look, if you see Facebook and you've got that logo, you'll find that. I say Tyne's Ghostbusters are also on Facebook as well. But you know, we're maybe after some international members as well. But just check us. We're old guys, so we tend to use Facebook. I know some of these youngsters these days are on all these other weird and wonderful platforms, you know, with their weird Instagram and wonderful names TikTok, that, you know, Twinks and X's and all that. Right? No, I don't understand any of that. But yeah. Yeah, it's all on Facebook. We do have Instagram as well. So have a look for Red Bench and Red Bench Project and Tynee Ghostbusters on Instagram. So we're all on there. We're always posting content on there. We do understand Instagram. Yeah.
Nice. I don't. So all right. So that brings us to the end of our show, and I have to ask, Keith, why do you bust?
Because why not? It's great fun. I mean, the number of people we meet at events and things like that. I mean, when you're in costume, and then we have somebody hears that the Tyne Ghostbusters are there, and we end up with a kid that's like 4 or 5 turning up in his little jumpsuit with a homemade Proton pack on the back, and we'll give him a patch or we'll give him some stickers and things like that, and it's like they go away happy. In the process, we're also raising money for the charity, so it's it doubles up. We just love smiling faces, and that's why I bust. That's why we bust as a team, and because we're raising lots of money for charity, we're doing it for a really good cause, and that's why we bust.
I think that's a great reason, Keith. I'm right there with you, man. It's that smile on that kid's face. I definitely I applaud all of your work in the community here.
Nice.
And I definitely encourage you to just keep on rolling with it. So, well, that brings us to the end of our program. I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight for Why We Bust, sponsored by your Windy City Ghostbusters. Keith, I invite you to come over here to the States sometime and come hang out if you ever want to. We'll get you acquainted with some deep dish pizza out here, and we'll have a good time. So
yeah.
Thank you. So tune in next week where we'll have another guest, and we'll keep on busting. So stay safe, everyone. We'll see you next time.
Bye.